For example, Johannesburg, the venue where the game is going to be played today is a classic example of what we are discussing. They've shown two decks to us. One is a Turner, a proper Turner, and the other is a classic Johannesburg deck where you see a lot of runs, and then there is space and bounce of ballers. So when these are the two different conditions you're encountered with, it's primarily changing. You'll have a completely different set of players for the deck one and another set of players for deck two. So such is the importance of toss and what is being said by the players and the captains at the toss.
Yeah, and if this is the case for men's cricket, for the Women's World Cup that's starting,
Hmm.
the information that they're going to get from the covers of subscribers, it's going to be gold, without which it would be very difficult to compete
Hmm.
in any of the fantasy platforms. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very excited and looking forward to the start of the year Women's World Cup.
We have released four tournament packs so far. New Zealand went out today, and those who have gone through those packs will have a significant advantage in the first week, in particular, going into the tournament. Because first week is where covers of subscribers usually wreak havoc. It happened with BBL, it happened with SA20, and it's going to happen with all of the tournaments that we're going to cover. It is because of the exceptional depth of information and the insights that we give out in our tournament packs. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this the World Cup as well.
And today is the warm-up match between India women and the Australia women. It's pretty much probably a curtain raiser for the entire event, and probably a rehearsal for the finals. Hopefully, both these teams, most likely, they're going to make it, and hopefully India will win.
Yeah, it is in India and Australia are the two strongest teams in the competition. England are a close second with India, but Australia are head and shoulders above any of the teams in the competition. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be the final lineup as well.
And talking about Shafali Verma, probably she's the only player who seamlessly moves between the senior team and the under 19 team. Something like this has never happened before.
Yeah, I mean, it was if I are an opposition fan to see Shafali Verma on the opposition in an under 19 team, it feels illegal to me to have a player of such caliber playing against. And no wonder that team won the World Cup. Shafali Verma, Richa Ghosh was there, two exceptional players, two players who opponents fear at the senior level are playing for the Indian under 19 team.
Like if during the Sachin's era, if there was an under 19 World Cup, Sachin
Yeah.
wouldn't have had to wait till 2011 to win a World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been wonderful to see him as a 19-year-old. I watched some of the old videos now. I find it still unbelievable how he played in the 1992 Australia series. It is unbelievable to see. It's difficult to believe he was a 19-year-old handling such quality attacks in test conditions.
Yeah, I don't know which other player recently, but Sachin almost scored 5 centuries overseas before he scored a century at home.
Yeah,
He had a phenomenal run. He scored a 88 against New Zealand, if I remember correctly. He fell short by 12 runs. Otherwise, he would have been the youngest to score a century.
interesting.
Yeah. So with that, let's move into today's sheet.
Hmm.
So very unlikely, since Mumbai Indians campaign is almost done and dusted, we may
Hmm.
not see the pace of Jafra Archer anymore in this tournament. Very unlikely.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah, it is. I think they'll also understand that it's pointless to risk him. Even Mumbai need him for the IPL, for example. So let him rest, and maybe they could try out Henry Brooks, an exciting talent from England who could bowl fast as well. But apart from that, I think it should mostly be the same 11.
and till Faf was batting yesterday, he didn't look like a ranked turner deck at all. It was like how, again, talking about Sachin, how he was batting in the 96 semi-finals
Mm,
against Sri Lanka and Calcutta. Till
mm,
Sachin got out, nobody had a clue that it was actually turning square.
yeah,
And and you also mentioned in the creator notes
mm,
the Faf's assessment of the pitch after the
mm,
toss is spot on. Maybe he
mm,
knew
mm.
what was coming, and for him to play such an explosive innings.
Yeah, he definitely knew. Even the first game that was played on this deck, despite the fact I think they were chasing something around 170, and despite the fact they were chasing, they were content to score around or even 60 to 70 in the first 10 overs. They knew the pitch was going to get easier as the night wore on, and then they capitalized on the deck in the first game, and it happened in the second match as well. They were really not taking any outrageous risks. For example, Reza Hendricks was even trying horizontal bat shots. He was playing straight, and they were content to score on. Faf du Plessis was the only one who was scoring at a higher rate. Van der Merwe held in his length. He was fuller, and when he should have been shorter, and that's something Faf du Plessis cashed in on.
Yeah, and I think when Magala came back, also Markram, the only over he bowled, they
Mm,
were trying to kind of bring the length bit, draw it back and not bowl fuller,
yeah.
especially to Faf, who was using his feet so well
Mm.
to smack those sixers.
Yeah, that kind of confused Markram too, I guess, because he would have been planning to bowl at least 2 to 3 overs against Louis Duploy and Matthew Wade in the middle. But these two right-handers batted for the first 14 overs, which changed all of their plans going into, which they might have had going into the game.
Yeah, and quite a good game. So we, I keep saying we. So Johannesburg, Joburg, however you say it, Super Kings, uh, most likely to go on to play the knockouts and the playoffs and hopefully the finals.
It's funny because halfway through, people were saying that Johannesburg is one of the worst teams in the tournament. But look where they are now. I mean, it is always going to be a good team because they had someone like Gerald Coetzee on the bench, who is a potential superstar for South Africa, and Tikshna coming in, and Andre Berger, all of these quality players on the bench. And when you have such quality on the bench, you're obviously going to be one of the favorites to make the top four.
Yeah, Coetzee is an exciting talent. We all know about Tikshana. But Berger, we have, in your sheet, you have a matchup against a couple of threats for Berger's left arm
Yeah,
pace play.
yeah,
So let's look at all that now. So just going into the matchups. So yeah, Devol Brewers and Rassi van der Dussen, both their key batsmen, they have a weakness against raw pace, and
yeah.
Coetzee would be looking at exploiting that and picking up a couple of wickets early on.
Yeah, the first match that was played between these two teams, I think it was the first match for Gerald Coetzee in the tournament too. He dismissed Deval Brevis with a short ball, and they seem to have a personal rivalry going on as well. Deval Brevis was really disappointed to get dismissed against Gerald Coetzee, so I'm looking forward to the part two of that saga today. And interestingly, MICT have moved Deval Brevis down the order. He's now playing as a middle order batter, which kind of improves his fantasy potential against most teams. Perhaps they shouldn't have done that in the last game because he was up against Nokia, who was bowling 4 overs in the middle overs, and he easily consumed him. I think this game, his potential will be up, and depending on what is being said at the toss, we are looking at having Brewis in our 11 today.
I mean, such tactical moves, sometimes goes so south. Exposing Brewis against Nokia probably is not one of the smartest of the options, but that's the tricky part, right? So Cape Town does not have a settled batting lineup, so it's
Mm.
been hit and miss, except for Rassi van der Dussen, who's been playing a bit consistently.
Mm. I think it seems like maybe the next season I see Rassi Van der Dussen captaining on a permanent basis because the power shift seems to have happened as the tournament wore on. It was Rassi Van der Dussen was making the crucial calls on the field in the last couple of games, and he's the one who is opening as well, which is his best role in a T20 game. So maybe we'll see this as the permanent shift going ahead.
So Mumbai Indians, of course, they don't have. May not most likely not play Jofra Archer, but they check the boxes for raw pace with Rabada and Odin Smith.
Yeah.
So if they dish out the regular Joburg wicket,
Mm,
and if and most likely Faf when wins the toss will bat first.
mm.
There's a distinct advantage for teams batting first in Joburg. So that will be a very interesting contest to see if they do dish out the proper deck, the normal Joburg deck today.
Yeah, they have been alternating between these two decks. So by that policy, it looks like they'll be back to the usual one today. And Odin Smith has been surprisingly impressive in parts throughout the tournament. He's got his radar right. He's not been irregular as he usually is. So they do have 8 overs of raw pace in Kagiso Rabada and Odin Smith.
Really good bowling lineup, right? So Rabada, Odin Smith, then you have two left armers and Duan Johnson and Sam Curran. When Jafraj are playing, it looks like a pretty strong, when Jafraj plays, I mean, very strong bowling attack. Just that, but throughout the tournament, we've been seeing a lot of assistance for slow left arm orthodox bowlers. But today, both the teams don't have a match winner SLAO. If and Joburg deck probably does not really require a bowler like that. But it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, like you said, it's very unlikely that they would dish out the same deck they did yesterday because it would be only even more sluggish, and they don't want that to do. So most likely, it's going to be their normal deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's look at the venue stats a bit. So the highest, the average first innings winning score is 168,
Mm.
uh,
Yeah.
and even with that deck, they Joburg came, they scored 160, and it pretty much looked like they won the game, and they kind of put out the total.
Yeah. I mean, it was obvious after the first over. I think Tikshna ball, the way he dismissed Rossington, that it was going to be a difficult chase for Sunrisers Eastern Cape.
Yeah, so like we saw yesterday, the runs come thick and fast during the first 6 overs. So Faf has been in red hot form, playing in Joburg. He scored 100 and he scored a 92 yesterday. So you think he'll be going in for a big one today as well?
It's difficult to know when this is going to stop because normally you expect batters to fail at some point because he's been getting off to such a crazy innings, 51 in that innings, and there's 113. You don't normally see 192 being put up in two back-to-back innings in a T20 format. So I mean, there's no way to guess what's going to happen today.
He's such a beautiful batsman to watch. Hopefully, the law of averages do not catch up with him today.
Yeah. There are going to be a lot of people. I think the 50% of Dream 11 managers, for example, have captained or vice captain Faf du Plessis today. So him succeeding or failing is going to have a huge impact on the results that we're going to have.
Interesting. So batting problems are plenty for Mumbai Indians, Cape Town.
Yeah,
So do you think that given that they might dish out the regular deck, do you think they would shuffle around with the batting order again, or would they go ahead with the same batting order that they had in the last game?
I think they set with the one that they had for the last game. It's going to be Wesley Marcel and Rashi Vanderdoos in opening, and it will be maybe Rolfsen could be traded out for Ryan Rickleton because Ryan Rickleton didn't do a lot of wrong in the opportunities that he got. He was still dropped for some bizarre reason. He might come back, and Rolfsen could be dropped. So that's the only change I'm expecting. But Brevis will hold on to his spot at number 4.
Yeah, quite an average season for Rashid Khan, if I could say that, as a captain and also as a bowler. I mean, he kind of now bowls to kind of take the pace off during the middle of the innings. It will be interesting to see how he uses himself when he captains Afghanistan.
Yeah, Rashid Khan has no doubt been disappointing as a captain for sure. His performances as a player has been a bit of up and down. He has had his ups, but there have been more downs for him. Even in the big batch, he wasn't able to take a lot of wickets. So maybe batters are clear in the way that they are starting to approach Rashid Khan.
So let's look at the creator notes. So we already talked about two different decks. Most likely the standard one would come out today.
Yeah,
So and if that happens, we will see a lot of runs and maybe that crazy 254 that was scored yesterday by Klassen century. So we might see a big one, hopefully by Paf, maybe a big one from Vanderson as well.
yeah.
But between the teams, there are going to be hopefully a lot of runs today.
Yeah, I hope so. I'd like to see Bruce succeeding in the middle order role that he's currently being given. He doesn't have a lot of threat. I mean, Andre Berger and Gerald Coetzee could bounce them out. But if he could be careful against them and cautious against them, then he could take on the rest. It will be interesting to see the kind of impact that he has. And Linde has been quiet for a couple of matches now. It'll also be interesting to see him come into play. And David, the way he was dismissed by Nokia in the last game, that shouldn't happen to any proper batsman. So he'll be looking to come back as well.
Yeah, and games like this is when if you look at the captain, vice captain, so 52% have Faf as the captain, and probably there would be a higher percentage of Faf being in the teams. But like the Senuran Muthuswamy case, players, fantasy players who pick up a differential captain, they could be in for winning big prize money today.
Yeah, I think the real play, the crucial play is going to be someone with people who are going to captain someone like Matthew Wade or Tim David today, because they are as attractive as Faf du Plessis and Rassi van der Dussen, and they could easily have a day where they could score 40 of 20 and take a couple of catches in the case of Matthew Wade, and a couple of wickets in the case of Tim David. The opposition have a couple of left-handers in their middle order, and for that to happen, for that to work out, Faf du Plessis needs to fail.
Yeah, and if Faf gets a good ball from Rabada up front, there's a good chance that the reason Wade failed because of the deck, and he was in good form in BBL, and there's a good chance that he carries forward that form in today's game and scores a decent one.
Yeah, and it is also yet not clear, Lilia, how JSK are planning to use Matthew Wade, because they've never really had situations where it's an ideal entry point for him. It could be at his regular spot in the Australian team as a middle order player, or it could be at number three as well. That's something we don't yet know.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting game. Very few games left after this. Let's go look at the schedule very quickly. The schedule right here. So it was a very interesting tournament that way. It kind of had a good pace. Number of matches, they had a break, and then coming back, they just have a couple of the round robin games left, and then starting the 8th, you have the knockouts and the finals on the 11th.
Yeah. It's like the classic retirement talk that former cricketers talk about. Retire when they say why not, and don't retire while they say why. Something of that sort. South Africa T20, for example, you're left needing more of say T20 as it comes to an end. You wouldn't mind 10 more matches of the same tournament. That's how good the tournament has been.
Yeah, what you said, was very popularly said by Lala Amarnath when he retired. So he said, you should retire when people ask you why, and not when
Yeah.
they ask you why not. Uh,
And the
which
quote
is
has lived on for years and decades. What a
yeah,
quote.
yeah. So, and if with Joburg in the top two, most likely the first semifinals will be between the table toppers with against the number four.
Mm.
That's where Joburg would have want to win this game today,
Mm.
definitely, so that they could have a chance to top the table, and then they can continue to play their semifinals in their home deck.
Yeah, that would be a crucial advantage for them. They've built their team keeping in mind that they'll be playing at Joburg, so they want to have the semi-final at Joburg as well.
Yeah, if everything goes well, Faf and boys may not have to leave the Joburg without the cup. They can
Yeah,
stay back and win these three games back to back. Hopefully that happens as a Chennai Super Kings fan.
yeah, that would be great.
So let's quickly talk about your favorite app.
Mm.
Last time when we did the show, we had the game where we picked you helped pick three players, and then all three of them did so well. I think it was Nokia who picked up two wickets.
Mm.
Uh,
I think
and
we topped a 74 member contest. That was crazy. Right.
yeah, I for some reason it's still loading. But today, for the today's game, yeah, there it is. So it's a very easy way to win money. Like Al has been demonstrating again and again. He helps to pick three players. uh, to play the contest on FanX. It's FANEX.in. And once you download the app, you get 500 free coins and use the free coins to join the contest. And using the free coins, you can win cash. So I don't know whether it's my, yeah. So there it is. So 450 rupees. Just with playing with 75 coins, and you were bang on. It was Rassi van der Dussen who hit four sixers. Nokia was among wickets, and again Van der Dussen scored 51 runs. And whoever took Al's advice, they all won 450 rupees. Sangeeta, Rohan, and Mayank. Congratulations.
If they hadn't clashed with us, we'd have won even more.
Yeah, so probably we shouldn't give out the three and keep all the money to ourselves. But that's not the idea here. The idea is to show people that this is a game of skill, and it's a very smart and easy way to play fantasy for any beginner who's not yet into playing Dream 11 or the 11 player fantasy formats. Fanex gives like uh, like a starter, if you will,
Yeah,
to get going with understanding the dynamics of the game, the pitches, the players, the key players for the day. So
yeah,
overall, the game following itself becomes far more interesting
yeah.
when you have a stake on the game. And in this case, it's not even money; it's just free coins.
Yeah, it's also a lot easier. It is a simpler game where you just have to pick three players instead of all the pressure that we put ourselves under. It usually happens live on our shows. We can see how long it takes for us to decide the 11 players, the combinations, captains and vice captains in the traditional daily fantasy format. But in this, you're clear when you're done with your analytics, you're done with your analysis of the match. It will be clear to you what you're going to pick. So it's just an easy decision to make.
Yeah, and all that to wait for the toss and the playing
Hmm.
11 and the captain's notes, right? You take so much of anxiety away. You can just, join the contest on FanX, make your popcorns and whatever you like to have watching the game. You can settle down in front of your big screen. And that's the whole idea, right? So, to get more and more people to, embrace this format, to get them started with playing fantasy, and more than fantasy, I would call this is more like a not fantasy, is about smart contest, as I like to call it. So let's see today's game between JSK and MACT. So the stats are sixers, runs, and wickets.
Hmm.
So I'm still waiting. I think my internet is slow, but like I said, just download the app. You get 500 coins. So it just takes 75 coins to join the contest. And who would be your picks today, Al?
I think it's for me again between Rassi van der Dussen and Faf du Plessis, and I think I hope law of averages catch up with Faf du Plessis, and I'm going with Rassi van der Dussen today.
So same Rassi Van der Dussen, and for wickets, whom would you pick?
It's an interesting one. I think I'll go with Kagiso Rabada.
Kagiso Rabada. So yeah, so that's a good one. So going to the fantasy sheet, so we have almost eight players filled in. Any of that would change in the last minute, apart from the three which is not yet fixed already.
Maybe if the deck is not the one that we are expecting, I think Donovan Ferreira could come in because he is also bowling very useful off spin that could be handy against someone like Linda and Sam Curran, and he can also hit. So that's something that's a change that we will be doing if the deck is not something that we are expecting. He'll come in place of Matthew Wade, and maybe someone like Kyle Simmons would come in place of Gerald Coetzee as well. More spin options to make use of the deck.
And this is the reason, viewers, you need a covers of subscription. This information, the sheet is shared with all the covers of subscribers, and as soon as the toss is done, the playing 11 is announced. Al takes into account, on the captain's observations, the pitch report, and then he comes up with the final 11. And there have been many instances where in the last minute you had a player who was not even expected to play, like Muthuswamy as an example.
Mm.
So it's very, very, if you're a serious fantasy player and not a casual player like me, if you play on Dream 11 and the likes, having a covers of subscription is almost a must, I would say.
Yeah, we prepare our subscribers well in advance for a tournament. For example, the tournament docs do a lot of the things that they're expecting to have going into a match. So that's the kind of edge. If people could see what we are doing with our tournament docs, it'll explain a lot of it, lot of what we are trying to say.
Yeah, great. So watch out for the final 11. You can take the subscription. It's still only 999, right, for a yearly subscription.
Yeah, it's still only 999, and I think it will change come this March or the end of February.
Yeah, for 999 for it's nothing compared to uh, the kind of issues and challenges and anxiety as you would have, the kind of data one needs to crunch, or or be led in the wrong direction by recent bias.
Mm.
So many things can be addressed if you just as a fantasy player just subscribe to covers off. And are there any more slots available for overseas subscribers for the lifetime subscription?
I think today is the last day. There are still enough slots available, but it will end by the exclusivity that the overseas subscribers have for converting their yearly into lifetime subscriptions will end today. Tomorrow we'll announce a new offer for all of those with the remaining slots. We'll open it up to all the users, Indians and overseas, and maybe they'll be able to convert their yearly into lifetime and even monthly into yearly, thereby into lifetime as well.
Yeah, so that's brings us to the end of the show. Cracker of a contest, Mumbai Indians versus Super Kings.
Hmm.
It almost sounds like we are in the season of IPL already, and these tournaments are going to be a good run up for IPL starting this year. In terms of talent scouting, for franchisees to know who's in form, who's not. Subscribing to covers of following the SA20, ILT20, tournaments this year. Covers off is not subscribing. Maybe for the next year, covers off would cover that tournament as well. But
Hmm.
my point is, as a serious fantasy player, you need to be on the know. It's not like you can come into IPL and then expect to win a lot of cash. So you need to be tuned in for the entire season. And unless you kind of track player performances across decks, across bowling attacks, it'll be difficult for anybody suddenly coming into IPL and expect to win a lot of money.
True. Yeah. The year-long coverage that we have is going to have play a crucial role in what we are going to do with IPL.
Yeah. So thanks, Al. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for coming in on the show. I know you have still a lot of work left for the day with the toss and the final 11, and then to update the website to the covers of subscribers. I look forward to again talking to you tomorrow.
Sure, can't. Same here as well.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care, Al. Bye.
Bye.